me get your initial reaction to this. On whitehouse.gov, defending women from gender ideology, extremism, and restoring biological truth to the federal government, followed by, their detailing and reasoning for this. What goes through your head when you see this?
I mean, obviously what goes through my head is that biological truth is not cut and dry. There are many things that occur that are not just XX or XY chromosomes. People can be born with all sorts of variations in their anatomical presentations, in their hormonal development, and also in their phenotypes. So what we have here is an example of ignoring science and ignoring 2% of the population that happens to be intersex. Being intersex is as common as having red hair, and restoring a binary system that will ultimately seek to oppress women, even though the title says that it's supposed to defend women.
One of the main points of the Trump administration was to fight against the ideology, they say, of transgenderism is how they word it, how they phrase it.
Transgenderism is a word that was kind of incepted fairly recently by more conservative outlets to, rather than accept and understand the transgender experience, to other it and make it seem like it's some sort of belief system when it's just actually a reality and it's part of diversity.
And with the executive order that the president signed talking about how the federal government will only acknowledge two sexes, male and female, when you hear that, what goes through your head?
As an intersex person, I can tell you that there's a lot more nuance to what actually exists versus what the government will recognize. Obviously, this undermines people who are intersex. It also undermines people who have non-binary gender identities, and it also seeks to eliminate the ability for people to change or shift their gender on federal documents from one thing to another thing, which ultimately is a tool of oppression, because when people don't have things like documents that line up with the way that they look, they can be denied critical services. They can have difficulty with entering and leaving the country. They can have difficulty with just even something as simple as producing an ID can become dangerous because people don't understand what it actually means to be transgender. It isn't a threat to anyone else.
How would you respond to people who watch this and say, I don't know anybody, doesn't affect me, I don't care what's happening? How do you respond to those people?
I would love to tell those people that you may not know an intersex person, but maybe now you do. You may not know a trans person, but there are trans people in your community, there are intersex people in your community, there are trans people in your family, whether they're out or not. And you know women. And all of these laws and all of these ways in which things are stated, they all seek to reinforce patriarchal norms and oppress women. For example, not allowing trans women to access women's restrooms. What this does, and what we've seen in the news, is it emboldens women who do feel threatened by men, not by women, not by trans women, but by men. It emboldens women who do feel threatened, rightfully, by men to attack women who they perceive to be more masculine presenting in spaces that they believe are women's spaces. And when women start policing each other's genders, the patriarchy is working itself. And what we have to realize is that laws that harm trans women, laws that harm intersex women, laws that seek to narrowly define what a woman is, harm all women. So whether you know a transgender, intersex person, non-binary person, you definitely know a woman, and this is going to have a broad impact on the way that women can appear in public society without harassment. I do want to make sure that I am giving a message of hope to people who might be feeling really despondent right now. I do know that the community really struggles, and that this causes a lot of stress, and minority stress is already a considerable issue within our community. We are resilient. We are strong. We have always been here. We were trans before anyone had any rights. We have been intersex for all of time. There is no way to actually erase us from society, even if they take away our legal rights to proper documentation. And the community is so strong. The community will take care of each other because we love each other and we have each other's backs. And if you're struggling now and looking for resources, I would point you in the direction of the Trevor Project and GLAAD. There's also the Dads Foundation, which is a foundation that is for dads of trans and gender expansive youth. That's a wonderful organization that I would highly recommend looking into if you are a dad of someone who falls into that category and you're feeling really worried. Just know that there is so much support and love and hope for those of you out there who are struggling, and an executive order cannot dictate who you are. It doesn't take away what you can bring to society. You are beautiful, and we will get through this together because that is what our community does.